Embiid or Tatum?
I think, believe it or not, it's Jason Tatum. And the reason why I feel that way about Jason Tatum is because Embiid has an injury that he's playing with, and we always take that into consideration. His health being a factor, to some degree, there's just certain things that you're not going to hold against him because obviously these are not bogus injuries. He's been injured throughout his career. His first 2 years in the league, he didn't play a game. His third year, I don't think he played about 51 games or so, missed about 31 games. This is what he's had to go through his entire career, whether it's his foot or his knee or his back. We understand that about Embiid, and I think the fact that he missed game 1, he was questionable for game 2, but ultimately tried to play anyway, you're looking at it from that perspective. With Jason Tatum, there's really no excuse. You look at the Boston Celtics team that's the reigning Eastern Conference champions. You didn't really lose anything. You added Malcolm Brogdon. Obviously, that was a big pickup. Everybody likes that. Everybody sees what they are. You lost Ime Udoka, but Mazzulla has done an outstanding job. I don't think anybody can deny that. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's about Jason. I think here's the other thing that puts more pressure on Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is the best player on the team. He is not the best player in the postseason over the last 2 years. And that has been Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown has been a more reliable asset for the Boston Celtics than Jason Tatum. And so when you look at it from that perspective, assuming that Jaylen Brown is going to continue to do what he's been doing, you are going to look at Jason Tatum. They won the other night by 34 points or whatever it was, right? Jaylen Brown had about 25 points. Jason Tatum had 7 points. Now, it's not a big deal because they won the game. But as you reflect on this team, if they falter and fall, you're going to look at Jason Tatum and ask yourself, what did he do? With Embiid, you're going to say, was he healthy or not? Because we know what he can do when he's healthy. With Jason Tatum, you're going to be like, what did he do? And that's what, especially piggybacking off his performance in the NBA Finals last year. So I would say there's a little more pressure on him.
Yeah, so I would say Joel Embiid here because one of the things is we just don't know what's going to happen with James Harden in the offseason. He's an unrestricted free agent, and there's a couple of things to point out here. The Sixers lose an advantage in free agency on Harden because they're not allowed.
And that's what, especially piggybacking off his performance in the NBA Finals last year. So I would say there's a little more pressure on him.
Yeah, so I would say Joel Embiid here because one of the things is we just don't know what's going to happen with James Harden in the offseason. He's an unrestricted free agent, and there's a couple of things to point out here. The Sixers lose an advantage in free agency on Harden because they're not allowed to sign him for 5 years. You run into the over 38 rule, and so he can only get a 4-year contract, and he can only get a 4-year contract somewhere else. Not that I'm advocating you give him 5 years at this point, but that's a factor. It's been very loud. Woj reported on Christmas Day that Houston really wants to get him back. They have cleared salary cap space. They intend to do it. I don't know what's going to happen with James Harden. I don't think anything's been decided, but it's uncertain. It's absolutely uncertain. And so the Sixers have the best team they've had in the Embiid era. And I agree, Stephen A., his knee is not right, but he is also playing through it. He went and got a procedure to try to get back. He's openly said, I shouldn't come back. It's 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to come back now. He's doing that because he realizes the chips are down right now. And if Harden walks, it's not like, oh, we have 30 million cap space, we'll go sign another player. That's not how the team is structured. So I think whoever wins this series is going to have a great chance to get to the NBA Finals with home court advantage, and whoever loses it is going to have some real issues to deal with.
Well, Wendy, I appreciate you going on, keeping track on time, because Stephen A., I know he tired this morning, but obviously he didn't hear how long the segment was going to be because he was dragging, talking slower than me, taking up all the damn time. But now since I finally get some time to speak, I'm going to say not more riding on the series, but the postseason, it's Jason Tatum. And with Giannis and the Bucks being out, he have zero excuses this season for us completing the mission. Jason Tatum better get it done when it comes down to bringing the championship back to the Beantown, period. When you talk about having a complete roster, he has that. When you talk about having elite point guard play and guys that could bring it up and mix it up for us, Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, and you have another superstar on your team in Jaylen Brown, you're not missing anything when it comes down to the bigs in the interior. When you look at Robert Williams and Al Horford, he have zero excuses to get it done. All I've been hearing about is how miserable his offseason been and how he's been waiting to get to this moment and how he don't care, don't give a damn about nothing else but this time right now. Jason Tatum has to get it done, not just in this series, but throughout the entire postseason and bring home a championship to the Beantown.
All right, we're going to leave it there. We are up against it, folks. Coming up here on First Take, Steph Curry has already proved
very high stakes. He's got to be great. I know people were excited about Harden. This has got to go through Joel Embiid, and I think it starts tonight.
All right, we'll keep it rolling here. The Bucks fire coach Mike Budenholzer after 5 seasons and 1 championship. The team announced the move after the East top seed lost in the first round of the playoffs. Budenholzer had 2 years left on his deal, worth approximately $16 million, sources telling our Adrian Wojnarowski. Damian Lillard reacting to the news, stating that folks out here firing championship coaches as soon as they don't win the chip. Okay, Wendy, I want to focus on Giannis. What does Giannis's future look like?
So let's say you own the Milwaukee Bucks, okay? Every seat is sold. All your suites are sold. You have Giannis in his prime. You got the best record in the NBA. You own the real estate all around the arena. Restaurants are packed every night. There's a beautiful hotel across the street from the arena that they just built. It's about to open. Everything is going great. And you sell. Why would the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, Mark Lazary, sell? While we were out here in the spring, who's going to win the MVP? What's the seed of the Lakers going to get? Are they going to avoid the play-in? Something very important happened in the NBA. And that was that Mark Lazary, self-made billionaire, took a look around and said, I think I'm going to get out, even though I might be passing up the opportunity to hold the trophy in a couple of months. And that was a very important thing that happened. Why did he do that? Why did Mark Lazary sell? Well, number one, he got a great price. He got $3.2 billion valuation. He bought the team 10 years ago for $700. That's a tremendous cash out to Jimmy Haslam. But look, NBA teams go up in value. The idea that you sell after a decade and make good money isn't breaking. One of the big reasons he sold was because he saw a storm cloud on the horizon with this team. And the first clap of thunder just happened. They had to fire Mike Budenholzer because they realized how much of a precarious situation that they're in, and Budenholzer had to take the fall after the way they went out in the first round. They have 2 free agents, assuming that Chris Middleton is going to opt out of his contract for next year, which all signs point to. They have 2 free agents in their 30s that they have to deal with, Middleton and Lopez. Now, they are into the luxury tax repeater for the first time. They are going to be paying way more money in taxes starting immediately, to the point where I question whether or not they're going to be able to re-sign Lopez and Middleton just for the sheer fact of what it's going to cost. This is not the Clippers. This is not the Warriors. This is not the Nets. Their ownership doesn't have $70 billion.